Yeah, so there's like a dragon attacking the town. Do you have anything that can stop a dragon? A dragon is attacking the town, you say? Sounds like you'll need my magical idol for dragon repellent. No way, you have something. Ah, you wish to have it? I knew it. I'll give you 1,000 gold pieces for that. Gold, silver? No. This is far more valuable than money. What do you mean? What are you willing to trade for a magical item of this rarity? Why? Why are you making this hard? The game just uses gold. Why you gotta use something else? I just watched one of my favorite D&D podcasts, Eldritch Lorecast, and they were talking about magical shops and magical items. Surprisingly, this isn't what I think about when I do my world building. I'm trying to always think about the concrete things that build things up, but magic is a part of my world and possibly yours. So magical items obviously should be part of the conversation, something that escaped me. And this video really inspired me, so I kind of just wanted to get this out and share my thoughts with you guys. They talked about a few good ideas on like how to make magic shops matter and unique and special for your game. And they also talked about some interesting ways to change the trading and selling of magical items that I really drew to and I really want to use. So let's talk about magical items and how they help your world building and your games be better. So when I say magic shop, I don't just mean like a house or building in the town. I mean a catch-all phrase for places that you could trade magical items, such as, yes, a shop in town, maybe a traveling salesman in a wagon, maybe somebody with a massive backpack like in animes or video games. A big thing that they talked about is pick the location. Are they in urban areas? Are they monasteries, druid groves, hag huts, hunting lodges? Take advantage of the strongholds video that I made and Hey! Okay, sorry. Take advantage of the strongholds from the stronghold video that I did and make places of interest in town and near town, places where magical items can be traded. Are they hidden in pocket dimensions behind little brick walls and can be found in mirrored fantastical realms that are just there for the trading of magical items? Is the shop run by fantastic people or just a faction? Do they have 1 to 2 session long quests for you to do to build their trust so that way they can actually trust you? There's so many things falling. What's going on? Ugh. And then once you have the idea of where your magical shop is going to be located, theme your magical items to the location. And the players will remember where they were to find those items and where they can go back if they couldn't get it the first time. The price of magical items. This is something that I do not stop hearing D&D players who have played D&D since like 3rd edition. They just constantly talk about this. And honestly, they're probably going to add them back in because everyone's complaining about it. But I don't like the idea that magical items are worth gold, silver, or any type of currency. Not after hearing James talk about the rarity of items.
I like offbeat magic item shops. I like when they're a little bit more, I don't know, when it's not just gold for a thing. Magic items feel like they're too mythical for that to work out. And if I want a shop that is commercial, then I try and think of them in terms of something just a little bit more unusual than that. Like in my current campaign, I have a shop called the Arcane Exchange. Really digs at the purpose of why player characters want to buy magic items. It's because the magic items they got through the active adventure don't suit what they want to do with their character. And so at the Arcane Exchange, I out of game saying, hey players, what magic items do you like really want? Do you have a wish list? For 4th edition D&D actually literally had a magic item wish list for people to give the DM. Like that was encouraged. Because not all my players love optimizing, but some of them really do. And I will sort of fill the shop shelves with magic items I think are cool and magic items that my players think are cool. And then they can trade in magic items they've gotten through gameplay for that at a rate of like rarity equals rarity or 4 of the lower tier equals one up, right? Like you could trade a very rare for a very rare, or 4 rares for a very rare. And that I like the vibe that gives. It's like these people aren't dealing in magic items because they think it's an economically viable strategy. The people who operate that shop are fellow adventurers themselves. They're kind of like academically cataloging all of the magic items that exist in the world. They have a sort of ulterior motive other than keep the shop going. And then there's my very first campaign's sort of standout shopkeeper, which was an NPC called Blackbird. This sort of fey demonic entity that would often be found outside the entrances to dungeons, kind of as if it knew the players were going to be there. And within their bag, Blackbird had all of these sort of kind of offbeat, weird magic items that didn't seem like they would be particularly useful, like rope that can be commanded to sort of snap rigid like a fireman's pole. And yet all of those magic items that Blackbird had in their inventory would be somehow extremely useful within that dungeon. They would be like the key to a puzzle if the players were willing to give up something extremely valuable and non-monetary, often in a sort of fey bargain, you know, infernal pact bit of weirdness, like a treasured memory or something like that.
What's the price of magic? What if it was a hag? What does a hag want? More than gold, which can be plot hooks that your players choose to hand over that change the adventure forever. And consistency is important for players to have a grasp of the world that they're playing in. It's very important. Rarities. You trade magical items based off their rarity.
Rarity equals rarity, or 4 of the lower tier equals 1 up, right? Like you could trade a very rare for a very rare, or 4 rares for a very rare.
Instead of worrying about the economy and how much more is a magical version, like is a +1 1,000 more gold? Is it 2,000 more gold? That feels very out of reach for some players, and depending on the DM, you're not going to get enough gold to ever get that because they're trying to cap your gold so that way the challenges are difficult and you can't get the thing you want, and it gets really weird that way. It's a really weird power dynamic and relationship that the GM can take advantage of over the players. And then you have some players that criticize the economy and how it doesn't make sense, and that just drags down like the world building that the DM is putting a lot of work into, and it's push it all to the side. And when you put money associated to magic, that starts making magic feel more of high technology than it is magic. So all magical items have a rarity attached to them. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary, and ancient. These are the currencies. An uncommon bag of holding is worth 4 common magical items, like 4 magic potions. Yes, this kind of takes away of like what can players spend gold on, and gold is kind of losing value over time in D&D, and that's okay. Gold doesn't have to be the solution to everything, especially magic. Thinking about the rarities and that being the value of magical items actually changed my perspective on healing potions. Yes, they should be that expensive. They're freaking magical. They're like one of the only things that people can put currency value on. Maybe take the currency value away from healing potions. Or treat potions like wine. Every time the healing potion gets more powerful, they are considered a higher rarity. Rather than when it comes to brewing, oh, you have to put more ingredients to make it a more powerful potion. What if it's time, like wine? A common healing potion is common because it's been brewed within the last 5 years. Uncommon was brewed in the last 10. Rare potions were brewed in the last 50 years. And very rare healing potions, or even poisons, were brewed in the last 100 years. Connecting that rarity to value. Even on healing potions, why is this healing potion so much more powerful? Because it's rarer, because it's older. And you could trade this healing potion for a magical sword, possibly, because it has so much more value. That makes healing potions even more valuable in the game, not just spending money on it. Maybe keeping money on potions is important because they're the entryway to magical items. A commoner saves up a life's fortune to buy a healing potion, not to heal, but to trade to a hag for a blessing on their farmland. And then they grow more crops. Now the hag is in control of that farm. And even beyond all this funny story stuff, it's more entryways to get to magical items. It's more entryways for the players to make choices. If everything is gatekept behind high prices and rare adventures and giant monsters, players have less agency to kind of make the characters they want or go on the adventures that they're more interested in.
Blackbird had in their inventory would be somehow extremely useful within that dungeon. They would be like the key to a puzzle if the players were willing to give up something extremely valuable and non-monetary.
And it's mysterious. It's a very like Studio Ghibli-esque feeling to it, but it's consistent, so that way the players can actually use it and play with it. What else can you trade for Rarity? What else can you trade for magic? What else is rare enough for that? Maybe a common memory. Maybe a rare memory. Maybe a legendary relationship with a dragon for this magical item. It's rare. It's potentially ancient. And this conversation that they had on their podcast was mostly for their Kickstarter for magical items and magical shops with NPCs that run them and stuff like that. And you can go check it out down below. This is not a sponsored video. That conversation really got me thinking about magical items and how to use them in my world building to make more interesting games for my players. And big shout out to my backers on YouTube and Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I love talking about D&D and you guys give me the best reason to do it. Until next time, have fun. I'll see you then.
Listening to 102.3, where we playeth nothing but chance, and more chance. This are not thine elder matriarch, Steve.